Hi guys, this is Ashley back with Loomfinity. I'm here today to show you how to make Jerry Gourd from the VeggieTales. And in his creation, if you had done on any of my other VeggieTale creations, what I'm using is, on this one, the yellow bands. You'll need a couple of like the lime green colored bands, and then a couple of these pale, almost skin colored bands in order to make the stump. And then I'm using two pony beads. These two I'm using are yellow because you will not see them in the design. I use them to glue the googly eyes on. So you'll also need two small googly eyes. If you don't have them, you can always just do the white pony bead and draw your pupils on. Or if you don't have those either, you could also just create them on the on your hook with the white bands. So if you want to grab your supplies, then we can go ahead and get started. You'll be using your loom in the standard configuration, and we are going to start at the top of the loom with our green bands, and I'll be using two bands unless I specify otherwise. So taking two green bands from the center peg, you're coming out and to the left. I'm going to repeat that, going out and to the right. And then two more green bands in the center. We are then switching over to our yellow bands. And you're going to come down the left-hand side with two yellow bands. We're going to do that 9 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. And for this last peg, we're going to come into the center peg with two yellow bands. We want to repeat the same steps down the right side of the loom. And then we're also going to fill in the center section as well with two yellow bands. And we're going to cap off the bottom peg, creating 3 loops. So 1, 2, 3. Now before we can add our crossover bands, we actually need to add in the overlay for his sides. So you'll be using yellow bands again, and we're just going to lay them on top of the existing bands. And you're going to be starting on the 3rd peg from the top. And you're taking 2 yellow bands and just laying them, placing them directly over. And you're going to do this all the way down to this peg here, which is the 4th peg from the bottom. And repeat that on the right side as well, starting from the 3rd peg from the top. Now that those are in place, we can go ahead and place some of our crossover bands. So we are going to start at the top of the loom on the second peg down and create a triangle. We are going to skip the third pegs for now because we need to be able to move our overlay. We're actually going to be dropping it down. So skipping the third peg down, go ahead to and we're skipping the fourth peg down as well. I'm sorry, so the third and the fourth peg, we are not going to place our crossover bands. So on the fifth peg down, go ahead and create your triangle with a single yellow band. And then we're going to just do this down the remaining sections of his body. And the eyes and the nose we will also place after we have created the overlay. So we're going to go ahead and work on that part first, and then we'll go back and add the eyes and the nose. So you're going down into the bottom. We're going to go ahead first and loop up through the capping band, grabbing the first two and bringing those forward. I'm grabbing my next two, bringing them over to the right, and my next two over to the left. Now we're going to only loom this top layer of bands right here. Don't take these at all, just the top layer. So I'm going in, I'm grabbing those first two bands and bringing those forward. And I'm going to do that all the way up to where they end. And I'm going to repeat that on the left side as well. Now what we need to do is first we're going to release them so they're off of the peg, and we just want to be able to pull this entire section off without moving our crossover bands. So the easiest way to do that is you're starting on this bottom peg, you have this one part of this band here, bring this below this peg. So just pull this up and over to the side, and then going from the top of the peg, if you go from underneath you're going to pull the crossover band. So the easiest way I've found to do this is if you go on the inside hooking on the top and pull this up and over like that, your crossover bands will stay in place. So again, go in from the inside, grabbing those the two bands that you already looped, bring them up and over the peg. And we're going to do that all the way up except for the very top, because then you'll just be releasing those bands. And you're going to stop there, leaving this part connected. Repeat the same thing on the other side. So first, grabbing this band, I'm just going to pull it up and over the bottom peg, and then I'm going to go in and pull them up and over. Then I'm going to take my hook. We are going to go through the top of this section. Again, make sure you're only grabbing these two bands. Well, it's four bands, but the two bands that you looped up. Leave the bottom ones alone. I'm going to pull this off of the loom, and I'm going to drop from the third peg to the fifth peg and reconnect. Just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now we can add in the remaining crossover bands in our eyes. So first, taking a single yellow on the third peg down, I'm going to create my triangle, and I'm going to do that again for the fourth peg. I'm then going to take a single yellow, pinch it, and feed it through my beads. And this will be placed on the second peg down, straight across. I'm going to separate them and pull one band up and over the top. To create the nose, you're going to take a single yellow on your hook, create 4 loops, and repeat that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to take a single yellow and double it, and I'm going to pull all of this on. And pinch that together. Before I attach this, speaking of single double, I completely just messed up the top, so don't kill me, guys. Go ahead back in and remove your eye band for now. These 2 crossover bands here should be single doubles, so pull this back off, stretch the band and double it, and replace it back on those. And the same thing for the 3rd peg down, single double, just like that. Then we can replace our eyes. I forgot to note that on my little notepad. Okay, and then now we're going to place the nose, so take a single yellow and pull what we just created onto that single band, and it'll hook on the 2nd peg down. Bring it below the 3rd center peg and then hooking it up here. Now on the gourds, I did not create a mouth. This is optional, up to you if you want to create one like my other characters. All I did was replace the band below the nose. So this one's going to loop up and over the nose, so it would be this band here. It's the 4th to 5th peg. If you would like to add a mouth, you could replace these 2 bands with 2 white bands. That is completely up to you on whether or not you want to add the mouth. I have one of my other characters here that I haven't done a tutorial yet, so I guess you'll get it to see what else I'm going to try and work on. This one here is Lisa from the carrot family, and as you can see here, she has the little white mouth. And I did the same technique on the French peas as well. So if you want to add that in, you're welcome to do so. Now that those things are in place, the last piece we need to create is the little stump on the top here. And to give it the textured color, what I did was you're going to take a single skin colored with a single yellow. And you're going to create 4 loops on your hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Taking another single skin color or tan, this is kind of a tan color with the yellow, I'm going to double it and pull this on and rehook, and I'm going to repeat that again. So another yellow and then tan, single double, and then I'm going to place this on the very top center peg, just like that. Now we can go ahead and begin looping. So we've already looped through the capping band and on the bottoms, so we would just go ahead and loop up the center. So I'm going to go in and grab these 2 and just go straight up. When you get to the nose, make sure you pull the nose through the bands so it doesn't end up buried or even coming off sideways and crooked, and then once it comes off the loom, it can be hard to get it back in place. Going back to the bottom on the right. And then repeating the same thing on the left. Then we're going to take a single grain, we're going to go through the top and bring it through to create our slip knot. You want to take the top stump and pull up so that you can actually go through the center and bring this through to create your slip knot. Also, for the purposes of hiding, I have found that if you, once you've created the slip knot, flip it over, pull the stump back up, and grab that top piece of your slip knot and pull it through to the back. That will make sure that you don't have to pull it through the front of the design. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and remove from the loom. And there he is off the loom. You want to go ahead and stretch his sides out a little bit. If you have flyaway bands, sometimes they stick out a little funny. Just go ahead in and pull them back in a little bit so they're not so wonky. I think there it goes. And then just stretch him out to give him his rounding effect down at the bottom of his body. Flip him over, hide the rest of his little slip knot. And then to attach the eyes, you can use any old standard glue. I have some Elmer's school glue that my kids didn't use this year, so I took that over. And all you're going to do is place a small dot of glue on each bead. Or if you've chosen to do without the beads and just have the googly eyes, I've heard some glues will eat through the bands over time, and then after a couple weeks they fall apart, so that's really up to you whether you want to test that theory and see. I haven't actually tested it myself. And then just place his eyes on those beads, like so. And then give him a little bit of time to dry, but there is how you create Jerry Gourd from the VeggieTales. Don't forget to subscribe to get updates to my future videos, and I hope you like them.